Hey there, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us today on Jose's Opinion. Today, we'll smack a recap on a fantasy film from Russia called The Last Warrior, but before that, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Watch out and take care. In a place in the forest, a warrior called Alios, riding a white horse, is being chased by several soldiers together, with an owl who is the incarnation of a witch woman. After being dropped from her horse, this warrior continues to fight and defeat all the soldiers until finally they have to face with the witch. This witch woman's name is Varvara. With her magic, she turned the warrior's sword into rubber. It is strange that Alios keeps sneezing. When he saw the witchy owl lady must not have liked hearing it and hate to annoy her, so she has turned him into stone. Meanwhile, his white horse, who was Old Wizard, fled and jumped into the sea and turned into a fish. Under the sea, there is a cemetery made of stone warriors. Varvara is so satisfied that she declared the last warrior in the world was buried finally. Now in modern time, a handsome guy with a black robe and large sun amulet around his neck named Ivan came late to work. He walks onto the set of a show called Battle Mega on a TV station in Moscow. An announcer brings him on and introduces him as a past contestant, the champion for the sixth time in a row in this event. A true wizard has the power to foretell in true trophy fashion. In fact, Ivan is just a godsend who cheats money by pretending to be a god. Touch pitch, and you will be defiled. Due to cheating too many people, he was often hunted by enemies, and in order to avoid this one, Ivan pushed away the slugger next to him and entered a slide. What he did not expect is that his fantasy journey is about to begin. When Ivan unexpectedly rushed out of the slide, he was thrown into a forest. Ivan was confused because he was suddenly in a forest alone. After standing up and looking behind, he was surprised by the appearance of an old wizard who was with Alios before. The old wizard told Ivan that he was currently in another world called Belgori, a magical world different from the Earth. He also said that Ivan was the son of the legendary warrior named Limaramsa from this world. He told him that when Ivan was a child, his father asked the old wizard to hide Ivan in another world named Earth, and now that Ivan has been recalled as the only descendant of the last warrior alive today, the fate of this world is in his hands. After saying that, he immediately gave Ivan his father's warrior ring and said that the owl witch Varvara's warriors were after him. Not long after that, he was hit by an arrow in his back before he disappeared. Ivan is shocked and tries to run away, but he hits a tree branch and passes out. Ivan is brought to a castle led by a king named Dobrynya. He was a former warrior and a husband of Varvara. He worked with Varvara to take over and rule all Belgori. Dobrynya immediately recognized Ivan's father's ring and setting him free. Ivan glad to see that Dad still has some influence. At least, it seems like Ivan still hasn't entirely grasped. Dobrynya then asked the Queen Varvara to take Ivan to rest. Ivan, who was being escorted to rest, did not think that he was actually thrown into prison. In the prison, Ivan met another frozen new buddy whose limbs had been cut into several pieces and still talking, introduces himself as Kashki. Kashki said that he could open a portal which would help Ivan return to Earth, on the condition that Ivan had to find a magic sword. He told Ivan that once Dobrynya was an orphan who was adopted as a student of a very powerful magician, but he was not satisfied with the power he had and decided to kill his own teacher. He then took a magic sword and combined it with a crystal magic. Just when the sun and moon aligned and make himself an immortal human, he finally ruled Belgori for thousands of years. Before the warriors rebelled, he was defeated and the magic sword and magic crystal separated. Limaramsa took the magic sword while the magic crystal was taken by Dobrynya, who betrayed the warriors and handed the magic crystal to Varvara so that he could master Belgori. The magic sword was then hidden by Limaramsa and could only be found by him or his descendants. In the evening, an old witch woman was arrested. In the middle of the night, a frog came out of the old witch's clothes. They stunned the guards and cut the chains that bind the old witch, chiseled all the ice of the man, and put his back together. Then they escaped from prison and took Ivan riding a hut with chicken legs and ran out of prison. After running until the morning, the four of them rested in the middle of the forest. Ivan used a lighter, accidentally made a big fire in the house. The house fled looking for a river to put out the fire, left them in the forest. To continue their journey, they had to cross a river full of piranhas. They need to get help from a water monster who live in a swamp is known as Chudo. The monster is a horny guy. Their strategy is that let Vasilisa try to seduce him come out to the surface, but failed because of the whisper of the water monster's pet shrimp that this beauty is the change of frog. The old witch took out a potion of water and dripped it on an apple. A miraculous scene occurred after the old witch took a bite. A sexy woman appeared in front of the water monster. This time, without waiting for the shrimp pet to speak, the water monster has been conquered by the pretty old witch, decisively agreed to help them cross the dead water. Continue to the journey to find the magic sword. Shortly after the five of them left, Varvara's army arrived at the swamp and looked for information through Chudo's pet shrimp. Varvara also sent information to Dobrynya about Ivan and the others' destination. On the way they were confronted by a river. Ivan asked Koshiki why not to tread water across the river. Now he knows why it took so much effort to invite the water monster. However, the water monster tries to dive to negotiate with the piranhas, did not get up for a long time. Just when everyone thought that he made it, the water monster shrieked and floated out of the river. It turns out that the river is no longer under his charge. He fled into a well. Because they could not cross, they began to have an argument, and it turned out Vasilisa and all the villagers were turned into frogs by Varvara, and only she herself could turn back into a human after being saved by the old witch. At that time Ivan took the opportunity to seduce Vasilisa and gave her a cute rabbit, which turned out to be Varvara, and Incarnation were surrounded by Varvara and her soldiers and forced to jump into the well. In order to save them, Chudo drank all the well water too dry and found a secret door that connected across the river. The four of them finally entered while Chudo closed the door and blocked Varvara until finally he was turned to stone. The four of them continued their journey. One night, after teasing Vasilisa, Ivan confessed his love to Vasilisa and gave her his lucky needle. Vasilisa told Ivan that only a magic sword could kill Varvara, but that sword can only be touched by Limaramsa and his descendants, otherwise they will die. Ivan suspects that he is not real Limaramsa's descendants. To avoid this, the next morning Ivan tried to run away for fear of death. But by that time Varvara's troops were close to where they were sleeping and arrested all except Vasilisa, who was saved by Ivan's necklace and hide by transformed to frog. They were all taken to where the magic sword was and forced Ivan to find it. Confused, he took a sword at random and said it was a magic sword. Varvara was angry and tried to attack Ivan. In an emergency, Ivan casually picked up a branch to resist. Who knows that this is the legendary magic sword, making Varvara thrown the sharpness of the magic sword could even cut the stone like mud. Ivan then gave the sword to Koshiki before finally Dobrynya came and asked his knight to catch Ivan. Koshiki did not resist. It turned out that Koshiki had made a pact with Dobrynya before to find a magic sword and exchange it for magic crystals. However, the gem which Koshiki has switched is a fake. The real Eternal Life gem is still in the hands of Varvara. And just then Vasilisa turned into human form and rushed out, distracting everyone's attention. Ivan took the opportunity to grab the magic sword. Dobrynya and Varvara saw this scene and revealed a look of fear. Ivan took the magic sword in his hand but did not attack the enemy, but drew a circle in the air, and then a portal to the real world opened. Never thought that in this critical moment Ivan did not save his friends, but chose to return to the real world alone. Although back to the real world of his dreams, Ivan's heart is still much tormented. Every time he thinks of abandoning his friends, the feeling of guilt arises to keep him awake at night with worry. He finally decides to go back to Belgori to save his friends, but it is not easy to return to that fantasy world. He tried a lot of methods without success, but because he acted strangely was arrested to the police station. But, to his surprise, Ivan met the old wizard who gave him the warrior ring before. He came across and told Ivan that to get the magic sword he had to learn to summon the three-headed dragon from hell. Then, he used his wand to draw a golden portal in the air, and Ivan jumped into that magic vortex without hesitation. Meanwhile, his friends had been escorted to the palace to prepare for Dobrynya's punishment. Dobrynya and Varvara attended in full costume because today was a special day, that is, when the solar eclipse was formed, the power of eternal life could be obtained by setting the eternal gem on the magic sword. And at that moment, Ivan suddenly appeared in the palace. He pulled out his real-world weapon and tried to stop the Dobrynya-S ritual. Dobrynya, however, ignored his attack and concentrated on setting the gem on the magic sword. Ivan fired a shot at him, yet it was too late, and immortality had been granted abroad. At this moment, the three dragons of hell also rushed over at Ivan's summons and joined the battle against Dobrynya. However, Dobrynya, who already had the power of immortality, was indestructible, and Ivan used all his strength to do not cause the slightest harm to Dobrynya. However, Vasilisa also gained time to tell Ivan how to crack the secret of immortality, that is to break the gem set in the magic sword. Ivan suddenly has an idea. He dared Dobrynya put down the magic sword and fight in a warrior duel. At this point, the smug King Dobrynya had no doubt about Ivan's motives, and he decisively put down the magic sword to beat Ivan back and forth. At the same time, he also told Ivan the truth of the matter. It turns out that, in order to fight for the throne, Dobrynya and Queen together turned the legendary warrior Ilya, Ivan's father, into a stone statue and sank into the sea. Legend has it that only Ivan, who has the blood of warriors flowing in his body, can have the power to harness the magic sword. But at this time, this last warrior has been stepped on by Dobrynya, and will soon disappear from this world forever. Then, Dobrynya never thought, at this time Koshiki actually stood against him. He held a trace of luck, screaming to Koshiki, because he understood that the gem maintained the life of the two of them. If Koshiki dare to destroy the gem, they will both be turned into ashes. Then, as fate would have it, Koshiki told Dobrynya he was tired of living forever, smiled and threw the gem in the air, swung his magic sword and shattered the gem, turning it into countless pieces. With the destruction of the jewel, Dobrynya instantly turned into ashes and disappeared into the air, while at the same time, the demon army also turned into dust and Dobrynya died together. Varvara, seeing that the momentum has gone directly from the palace, jumped out of the city. With the disappearance of the evil forces, the people petrified by Varvara also finally all resurrected. In a peaceful atmosphere, Valisa and Ivan is dating Vasilisa and promises to marry her. They are sitting in the mobile hut happy to run. When the camera shifts, in the modern world Varvara is on Earth to meet her mother, who turns out to be Ivan's maid. For more videos updates, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.